So, ask ko lang po kung saan po tayo huling natapos.
Afternoon po.
Yes po, Mr. Santos. Saan po tayo huling natapos? Nakapag-start na ba tayo ng discussion? Hello? Module ano na tayo? Parang module for part 3. Tama? Parang sa pagkakatanda ko, ang natapos natin last time ay kinontinue lang natin yung module for part 2. Or mali. Hindi ko kasi alam kung anong section yung diniscusan ko po ng ganon. Hello? Yes po. Sana po. Vickers hardness test po ang huli. Okay. Yun nga po. Okay. Sige po, hintayin lang natin yung iba and then we will start po yung discussions about the non-destructive testing. Okay. So, bali, ang next natin po na experiment po ay sa week 14 kasi hindi po umabot ngayon. Sabi ko naman sa inyo, medyo matagal pong gawin po yung specimen kasi tuturno pa po yun. So, sabi sa akin, by Wednesday pa po siya magiging available. So, 14th week na lang po tayo kasi baka mapagaya na naman po last week na pumasok po ng hindi po face-to-face ay malalayo pang pinanggalingan. Ano po? So, doon na lang tayo sa sa face-to-face na lang po. Para hindi po malaking pamasahe ninyo. Yan. So, dapat pag ganun, kapag sobrang may problem, message niyo po ako. Yan. In case po na nagda-doubt po kayo pag ganun. Kapag hindi po kayo pwede naman po kayo magsabi sa akin. Nasaan na po kaya? So, yun naman po ako sa iba para makapag-start na po tayo. Yan. So, ngayon ay bumawi. Nagbaligtad tayo. Last time po ay face-to-face tayo. Ngayon naman po tayo ay online po. Okay. So, bali sa inyo pong Google Classroom. So, nag-upload na po ako hanggang dun sa pinakadulo po nating topic. So, ito po yung magiging guide natin for the presentation. So, tatapusin ko po hanggang corrosion and prevention and control po. And then after that po ay start na po tayo ng presentations ng ating mga different material. So, meron na ba tayong na-assign po na topic per group? Nakapag-assign na po tayo. Nakapag-assign na po ako sa inyo. Meron na? Okay. So, bali ang after po ng non-destructive, corrosion prevention and control, and then start na po tayo ng presentation. So, sa metals po, mas maganda kung sa mga processes involved pala, if i-discuss niyo po yun. So, mas maganda if meron kayong short video in order to present po or para ipakita po yung mismong process kung paano siya nangyayari. Okay? So, nasan kaya po ang iba? Nakatulog na yata po sa katagalan po na pag-iintay sa akin. So, pasensya na po kahit na napatagal lang po sa defense. Okay. So, ipapresent ko na po. Yan. Wait lang. Okay, so nakikita niyo na ba ang presentation? Hello? Hello? Naririnig niyo ba ako ng ayos? Okay. Okay na po ba na mag-start na po tayo? Okay lang po? Sige po, mag-start na po tayo kasi baka dumating sila mga alauna pa, ano po. So, sayang po ang oras. Sige po. Bali, ang next topic po natin is about non-destructive testing. So, last time po, yung diniscuss po natin is lahat po yun ay destructive testing. So, kailangan nating sirain yung material, kailangan natin i-test yung material, karamihan, so until failure. So, in order to determine po its mechanical properties. Ano po? So, dito naman sa non-destructive testing, so mostly ay by inspections po yung gagawin natin. Inspection or kaya may device po tayo na gagamitin to determine yung properties o kaya po if meron pong defect dun sa ating material. So, ang main purpose ng non-destructive testing po ay to determine po yung quality ng ating pong components or ng ating material. So, yung mga company po natin, yes po.
Ma'am, excuse me po, nawala po yung presentation sa Meet.
Nawala ba? Bakit nawala? Sorry po, yan. Sige, baka may napindot po kaya nawala. Yan. Okay, yan. So, tutuloy ko na po. So, kalimitan po sa mga company po, meron din po silang ganitong type of test. Hindi lang po destructive testing. So, meron din po na ginagawa po is through inspection. So, non-destructive. Kasi ito po yung mga, meron kasi tayong mga product or yung mga components na hindi dapat natin sirain. Ano po, to determine po yung kanyang property. So, di ba, para ma-determine natin, in determining po the property, so tinitingnan din po natin doon yung quality ng ating product. Okay, so, yan. Meron po tayong 3 intended learning outcomes. So, for this module, so number 1 po is to differentiate the types of non-destructive testing. So, bali meron tayong 4 na i-discuss. Ito po yung common type ng non-destructive testing. So, we have po the magnetic particle inspection. The next one po is the ultrasonic testing. Pangatlo is the dye-penetrant testing. And the last one po is the radiographic testing. So, itong mga test na to, I know po na medyo familiar po kayo dito. Kasi katulad ng radiographic testing po, so same lang din po siya ng sa x-ray na ginagawa sa atin. Yung ultrasonic naman is parang sa ultrasound kapag halimbawa pregnant or kaya may titingnan tayo sa tiyan. Ano po? And then next po ay yung magnetic particles kasi tsaka yung dye penetrant. So mostly gagamit po tayo doon ng katulad ng dye penetrant. So, meron tayong gagamitin na penetrant po, tsaka po developer. And then, yung isa naman po sa magnetic particle. So, we use naman po yung magnet. Ano po? To determine the defect ng ating material. Okay? And then, number 2, to briefly describe the basic principle in conducting non-destructive testing. So, i-discuss po natin kung paano ba kino-conduct yung test na yun. And the last one po is to determine the type of non-destructive testing to be used. So, in order to identify the defects of the material. So, hindi po kasi lahat ng non-destructive testing is applicable na gamitin sa lahat ng materials. Meron lang pong specific na, for example, sa magnetic particle inspections, yun, yung test na yun, so ginagamit lang siya for ferrous material. Kasi kapag non-ferrous, hindi po siya gagana. Kasi gagamit tayo ng magnet. Okay? So, we can determine po kung ano yung type ng non-destructive testing yung pwede natin gamitin to evaluate the quality of the product. Okay? So, meron tayo dito na 3 picture. So, ito po yung mga sample na different type po ng non-destructive testing po. So ito yon. Ito po ay through sound waves. So meron tayong sa ultrasonic. Tapos this one naman, so gumagamit naman siya ng ultraviolet light. So commonly po, pwede po siya ng, ito po ay yung dye penetrant testing. It's either na dye penetrant testing o kaya po ay magnetic particle inspections. Kasi parehas po sila na may gumagamit po ng fluorescent lamp. So meron tayong darkened room. And then the last one po is itong nasa right side po is the radiographic testing. So para talagang in-x-ray po. So sa atin, kung internal organs yung in-x-ray, so diyan naman po is yung internal part po ng ating material. So tinitingnan ko meron siyang internal defect. Okay? Yan. So let's define muna po what is non-destructive testing. Ano po? So i-define muna natin ano ba ang non-destructive testing. So when we say non-destructive, so from the word itself, so hindi non-destructive, so hindi natin siya sisirain. Kasi hindi natin siya pwedeng sirain talaga. Ano po? So ito po yung ginagamit na sabi dito, a wide group of analysis techniques used in science and industry to evaluate the properties of the material or component system without causing damage. So, dapat hindi po madadamage yung ating material. So, dapat wala magiging effect sa kanya. So, after po ng inspection, same pa rin po dapat yung kanyang property. Walang dapat na mabago dun sa ating material. Okay? So, it is one of part daw po of the functions of quality control and is complementary to other long-established method. So marami pong gumagawa ng ganitong type of test. Yan, lalang-lalo na kapag mga fabrications, yun yung mga welding. So in order to determine yung quality ng weld, so minsan ginagamitan natin siya ng for example, radiographic testing o kaya po yung ating mga dye penetrant or magnetic particle inspections. So part po siya ng quality control. Yan, para mapakita po or makita kung yung ating materials po is in good quality. Yan, for example, kung ang weld ba natin is maganda yung quality. Kasi kalimitan na nagiging failure din po is because of yung weld. So kapag hindi po maganda yung pagkaka-weld dun sa ating material. Okay? And then, the main purpose po ng ating non-destructive testing din po is to determine yung kanyang mga surface or internal flaws. Pwede din po ditong makita yung mga metallurgical conditions. Yan, sabi dito, without interfering in any way with the integrity of the materials or its suitability for service. So, dapat walang mababago po dun sa ating material kapag itinest po natin siya. And then, ito po yung mga reason kung bakit daw po tayo nagkakonduct ng non-destructive testing. So, the first one is components are not destroyed. So, hindi natin pwede pong sirain or baguhin po yung ating material. So, kaya non-destructive testing yung pwede natin gawin. And then, isa pa is pwede na niyang makita po yung internal flaws. Kasi kapag ginamit natin yung destructive testing, hindi naman natin makikita doon kung meron ba siyang crack doon sa loob o kaya may void, may crack doon sa surface o kaya ay may void doon sa mga loob, porosity, mga ganun po. Hindi natin siya makikita. So, using po yung mga destructive testing. So in order to test po yung mga internal flaws, so pwede natin gamitin ang non-destructive testing. And ito din po yung pwede natin gamitin para makita natin kung pwede pa pong gamitin yung isang components or kailangan na po niyang i-repair or kaya naman po ay replacement. Ano po. And then, ang isa pa po is can test components that are in use. Katulad yung ating mga pipelines. So, ang pwede lang natin gawin doon, hindi pwede natin siyang i-perform po using the destructive testing. So, ang pwede natin gawin kapag siya ay in use na. Yung mga components natin yung in use, katulad ng mga boiler, ganyan, yung mga pipelines natin. So, ginagamitan po siya ng non-destructive testing. For example po, yung mga pipelines natin. So using po the ultrasonic testing, so we can determine po yung thickness ng ating pipe. So kapag, meron di ba, initially, nung nilagay natin siya, meron siyang, thickness, So kapag yun ay nabawasan, ibig sabihin po, so nagkakaroon ng corrosions dun sa loob. Diba? So paano siya mababawasan? So pwedeng because of the corrosions, and kapag naman po siya ay nadagdagan po ng thickness, so ibig sabihin may mga katulad ng mga scaling na nangyayari. So makikita natin if yung components po is pwede pa siyang gamitin. Okay. So, ito yung discuss ko po sa inyo kanina na common types po ng non-destructive testing. So, we have the magnetic particle inspections or MPI. Tapos, we have the ultrasonic testing or UT. Penetrant testing or yung tinatawag po natin na dye penetrant testing or kaya naman po ay liquid penetrant testing. Yan. And the last one po is the radiographic testing. So ito po yung i-discuss po natin ng isa-isa. Okay? So itutuloy-tuloy ko na ito hanggang sa matapos. Wala mo na tayong break. Okay? So since late ko na din po kayo na-meet. Okay? So the first one is the magnetic particle inspections. So nakikita nyo ba? Nakakahabol ba kayo?
Yes po.
Nakakahabol? Hello?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay, yan. I-make at ako hinahandi sa presentation. Hindi ko makakita kayo. Okay. So, yung ating pong first type po ng non-destructive testing is the magnetic particle inspections. So, this method po is suitable, yan, for the detections of the surface and near surface discontinuities in, magnetic material. So, ito yung sinasabi ko po sa inyo. So, hindi po lahat pwedeng i-inspect using the magnetic particle inspection. Hindi lahat ng material. So, applicable lang siya sa mga magnetic material. Kasi gagamit tayo ng magnet. Ano po? So, kalimitan daw po ay, ang pwede po sa kanya ay yung mga steel and yung ating pong iron. So, yung mga ferrous metal po natin. So, dito po siya gagamitin. Dito lang. Ito lang yung pwede sa kanya. Okay? So, yung mga non-ferrous po, katulad ng mga aluminum, copper, so hindi po pwede natin gamitin ito magnetic particle inspections. So, kailangan po ay magnetic material po. So, yung pong mga ferrous metals po natin. Okay? So, ito pong method na to is ini-inspect po niya yung mga products na mula po dun sa ating casting. So, pag sinabi po natin na casting, ito po yung shaping or forming po ng ating mga material. Yan. So, meron tayong ginagamit po na dye. So, yung dye po, yun yung pinaka-shape. Ito yung magiging shape po ng ating material. Tapos, from that po, yan, ika-cast lang natin yun. I-cast lang natin siya. And then, after po nun, titingnan natin if meron po siyang imperfections or may mga crack during the casting or may porosity, yung mga ganun po. So, titingnan natin. And then, we have po yung ating sa forging. Yan. yung ating din po mga product after ng forging at saka po yung ating mga weldments. Yan, weldments po yung welding natin. Yung product po natin ng welding, so titingnan din po yung kanyang properties po. So pag sinabi natin discontinuities, so ang pinag-uusapan natin po dito ay yung mga katulad po ng mga crack. Yan, mga crack, yan. Halimbawa, if yung atin pong ano ay rough po yung surface natin, basta hindi po tuloy-tuloy, ano po, may discontinuities or may contaminants po. Yan. So, yun po yung kayang i-detect or kayang mapakita ng ating pong magnetic particle inspections. And so ito po yung mga some of the industries po na gumagamit po ng magnetic particle inspections. So, they are yung ano po sa mga structural steel. So, yung mga gumagawa po ng mga structural steel natin. Tapos, automotive po. Yan. Kasi sa mga sasakyan, petrochemical. So, yung atin po mga ginagamit na tank at saka yung mga pipelines po. Power generation. Yan. Mga aerospace industry. And also, ang magnetic particle inspections po, ginagamit din po siya for underwater inspections. Yan. And sabi dito, where magnetic particle inspections may be used to test such thing as offshore, structure, and underwater pipelines. So, pwede natin siyang gamitin for the underwater pipelines po, ang magnetic particle inspection. So, ini-imagine ko kung paano siya ginagawa sa pinakailalim, ano po. So, magdadive sa luwag, yung mga tipong kanon. And so, yung mga underwater pipelines po, kailangan din po natin siyang i-test po yung kanyang quality. Kasi baka maya-maya ay bigla na lang pong mag-leak. Ano po. And then, ganito po yung nangyayari sa atin pong magnetic particle inspections. So, meron po tayo dito na mga may powder po tayo na ilalagay para po siyang magnetic powder po. And doon siya pupunta sa may part po ng rock. Yan. So, bali, ang mangyayari po, makikita po natin, kita nyo yung kulay red na line po. So, yun yung indications po ng ating, ito po yung tinatawag natin na flock lines. Flock lines po. And then, so, makikita nyo po, nung meron po tayo na discontinuities, so, nag-iiba po yung kanyang flock lines po. So, nag-iiba yung kanyang direction. So, ganito po yung nangyayari kapag po meron tayong discontinuities. So, napuputol siya. So, kaya po ang lines niya, ganito po yung nangyayari. Pero hindi ganyan natin siya makikita. So, meron tayong gagamitin kung saan mapapakita po sa atin kung saan part talaga siya merong defect. So, gagamit po tayo dyan ng magnetic particles po. Yan. Okay. So, ito po yung most common use equipments po natin using po the magnetic particle inspection. So, ito po, yun ay nakaset up na siya. So, meron na tayong meron siya isang place kung saan nakaset up na po yung kanyang, sabi dito, for longitudinal and circular magnetizations. So, then ginagamit po dito is the wet fluorescent particles. So, wet po yung ginagamit kapag ganito po yung setup. So, ito po, dito niya imamagnet po yung ating material. So, ganyan yung setup natin kapag darkened room o kaya gagamit po tayo ng fluorescent particles. So, this one naman is, ito po yung portable. So, ito kasi hindi natin madadala kung saan-saan. So, this one, so gagamit naman tayo ng AC yoke. Yan, ito yung AC yoke na to, ito yung hawak-hawak nito. So, tapos ginagamitan natin siya dito ng dry powder. So, si dry powder po, yun po yung ating magnetic particles. So, this one naman ay wet fluorescent particles naman po yung ginagamit. So, magkaibang setup po. So, magkaiba din po yung ginagamit natin na magnetic particles. Okay? So ito po yung procedure on how to perform the magnetic particle inspections. So una po, so i-clean natin yung surface. So yung surface na i-inspect natin, so kailangan natin siyang i-clean. So pwedeng ang gamitin po natin dyan is detergent, yan, organic solvent, descaling solutions, paint removers, tapos vapor degreasing, sand and grit blasting, or kaya ultrasonic cleaning methods. So, i-clean natin. Kailangan malinis po yung part ng i-inspect natin. So, after natin na ma-clean, so mag-i-introduce na po tayo ng ating magnetic field into the part. So, ito yan. So, nilagay na natin yung ating ACU. So, kaya ito pong mga non-destructive testing na ito, hindi tayo pwedeng, kahit sino lang ang pwedeng gumawa. So, hindi po pwede yun. Kasi, kailangan ay po siya, may training talaga at nakapasa po bago tayo maging inspector para sa sa magnetic sa non-destructive testing. Kasi meron siyang kung papaano natin ipo-positions yung ACU dito sa ating pong material na i-examine. Hindi yan basta lang ilalagay natin at yun na. So meron tamang positioning po siya. At yung inspector lang po, yung nakakaalam ng tamang positioning po ng paglalagay natin ng ACU. Ano pa? So, pag na-introduce na natin yung magnetic field, so mag-a-apply na po tayo ng ferromagnetic medium. So, ito, yung nakikita nyo po, ito po ay powder. Yan, ferromagnetic medium po. So, ano yung magnetic particles. And then, sabi dito, while the part is still magnetized. So, si ferromagnetic particles, doon siya pupunta sa may mga discontinuities. Kaya makikita po natin yung part kung saan meron siyang crack. Yan. And then after po nun, so mag-a-apply tayo ng ferromagnetic medium. So ang sunod na natin is i-remove daw po natin yung excess. Yung mga nasa ibabaw po, yan. So tatanggalin natin yan. And dapat po, yung low pressure dry air yung gagamitin natin to remove yung ating ferromagnetic medium. Kasi kapag napalakas po yun, baka pati yung naandun sa sa part na may discontinuities is matanggal din po yung ating powder. Okay? And then after na-remove yung excess na ferromagnetic medium, so ang sunod na natin gagawin is i-inspect na natin. Yan. So kaya hindi po pwedeng, pag tumingin kasi tayo ng ganyan, so ang tingin lang natin, merong red na nandito. So, anong ibig sabihin ng ganyan? So, yun po ay after natin na i-remove yung excess ferromagnetic, so i-interpret na siya at i-evaluate. So, titingnan po kung siya ba ay accepted dun sa standard or hindi. Baka kasi sobrang laki ng crack. May crack ng kaunti. So, yun ba acceptable or hindi? So, yung inspector po, yung i-evaluate kung pasok po siya sa standard or hindi yung ating material. And then after nun, na-inspect na natin siya, so ililipat naman natin ito. So, magto-turn daw po tayo, turn the yoke 90 degrees from the original position and repeat step 2 to 5. So, lilipat-lipat natin siya. Hindi lang isang part po yung ating titignan. Kasi, meron pa po yung other part ng ating pong specimen or ng ating components or ng ating material. So, titingnan natin ito. So, palipat-lipat po. And then, uulitin lang natin yung procedure hanggang sa ma-determine natin kung aling part po yung may mga crack or may mga discontinuities or meron pong imperfections. So, after po nun, i-clean na natin siya and i-demagnetize na natin siya. Since na-magnetize po natin siya dito, so i-demagnetize na po natin siya dun sa part ng dulo. So, naintindihan ka po. So, siya ay clean the surface, tapos introduce na magnetic field, apply yung ating ferromagnetic medium, tapos remove natin. And the number 5 po is to evaluate natin ng interpret. And the last one po is i-clean natin siya at saka i-demagnetize. So, ganun yung gagawin natin using po the magnetic particle inspections. So, ang gamit po dito ay AC yoke with dry powder. Okay? So, ito po yung mga advantages daw po ng ating magnetic particle inspections. So, ito daw po yung mga advantages niya. So, ang kaya niya pong ma-determine po na defects is yung ating surface and near subsurface. Tapos, portable siya and low cost. Kasi di ba meron tayong ECU po para sa portable. So, kahit saan pwede natin siyang gamitin. Tapos, rapid inspections po siya. So, makikita natin agad yung immediate results. And then, so, yung indications daw po are visible to the inspector directly on the specimen surface. So, kitang-kita agad ng inspector kung saan po merong defects. And then, sabi dito, can detect defects that have been smeared over. And the last one po, pwede po siyang gamitin sa mga irregular shape. Katulad ng mga external spline, crankshaft connecting rods, etc. So, pwede natin gamitin yung magnetic particle inspections. But, meron po siyang mga disadvantages po. Okay. So, sabi po, pwede natin siyang gamitin sa mga irregular shape, but kailangan po siya ay ferromagnetic material. Okay. Kailangan po yung ferromagnetic material, yung ating pong ititest. And then, pangalawa po ang disadvantage niya. So, di ba, dapat before natin siya i-inspect, kailangan natin siyang i-clean. So, kaya kapag po daw po yung paint natin is thicker than about 0.005 inches, so kailangan po siyang i-remove. Kasi hindi natin makikita ng ayos po yung defect niya kapag masyadong makapal po yung ating po paint. Pangalawa po, need po niya ng post-cleaning and post-demagnetizations. And then, number 4 po, so ang kaya niya lang pong i-detect is hanggang ano po, 0.1 inches. Yan. So, pag kalampas na doon, hindi na po niya kayang ma-detect yung defects ng ating material. And the last one po, katulad ng sinabi ko po sa inyo, yung alignment po between the magnetic flux and yung defect po is important. So, yung i-inspect po natin na part, at saka po yung alignment po ng ating magnetic flux. So, very critical po yung part na yun. So, very important po yun. So, nakadepende po kasi doon yung magiging results po natin. So, kaya kailangan expert po talaga yung gagawa ng MPI. Naku ha? Hello, naririnig niyo pa ako?
Yes po.
Hi. So, ito, yan, ito po yung sample na applications po ng ating magnetic particle inspections. So, ito katulad nito, in-service boiler. So, tina-check po yung kanyang quality. Kung kaya pa niya po yung, halimbawa, in terms of the pressure, yan. Tapos, ito din po, in-service boiler po. Ito po ay longitudinal seam. Tapos, dito naman ay lifting lug weld. So, this one naman ay, ito naman po ginagamit to detect daw po yung fatigue type, discontinuities, and welded seams din po. So, ari naman ay steam drum. Steam drum ito. Tapos, this one is, crack in, yan, seal weld of boiler tube to steam drum. Yan, sabi, discovered with MP. So, nakita po na meron pong crack. And then, yeah. So, kalimitan po yung mga non-destructive testing is ang main applications talaga niya is kapag siya ay in-use. So, tinitingnan po if pwede pang gamitin yung ating pong components. Yan. And then, we have here po yung ating video. Dalawa po kasi ito. Wait lang. Kukunin ko na po parehas para isang puntahan na lang po natin. So, saglit lang po ha. So, pag ipapakita ko na din po sa inyo parehas para po isang na lang. Saglit lang po ha. So, madami pong video kayo makikita dun sa Material Science 2000 sa YouTube po. And then, wait lang. Okay. Papalitan ko lang po yung ating presentation po. Tiglit lang ha, may ads pa po. Wait lang.
Domex dapat unstoppable sa pagtanggal ng stains and germs.
Pasensya na, walang pambayad tayo sa ads. Okay, so this one po is yung ating video about po sa magnetic particle inspections po using the AC yoke with using po yung ating dry powder. Yan. So magnetic particles natin dito is a dry powder. Okay? Yan. So panoodin niyo po ito ng ayos so para makita natin kung paano po talaga siya tinetest.
Hi, my name is Mike Porter. I'm the corporate NET level.
Yan, naririnig niyo ba ng ayos? Rinig niyo?
Yes po.
3 for Alta Vista Solutions. And this is part of a video training session. And we're going to be performing magnetic particle testing on a painted component. So what we're going to do is we're going to demonstrate the proper technique to perform magnetic particle testing through a layer of paint on a component. Typical applications from ASTM E709 is a particular standard that we're working to, the American Standard Testing of Materials, and it doesn't allow you to test through paint. You need to test through uncoated surfaces. You're allowed 1 or 2 mils of paint, and then that would be acceptable. But if it's a special application like this particular component has about 16 mils of paint on it. So in order to test through this, you need to be able to demonstrate that you can find the particular anomalies that you're looking for and demonstrate the technique. So this is a magnetic particle yoke. We're going to start over here. One of the things that we teach our technicians is the proper technique to applying the particles. As you apply the particles, you want to actually just float them on. You don't want to dump them on with a can such as that. You just want to be able to lightly float the particles on. And the same thing with a puffer. When you blow the particles away, you want to be a little tender and a little sensitive and make sure that you have the right technique. So we're going to move down across the plate, making sure that we have overlap. So I make sure that I test 100% of this particular component. I don't see anything there. I'm going to move down again. And as I apply this here, we actually start to see the formation of an indication along the toe of the well. That happens to be about a 2-inch long crack in the heat affected zone. So as I talked about before, that it's important to know the techniques and the proper technique of blowing the particles off, because if I use too much force, especially on a painted plate as opposed to an unpainted plate, I can actually blow the particles away and you no longer see the crack. So again, it's important to have the proper technique in floating the particles on and watching them form, and then also the proper particle removal with the blower. So this completes this particular video training session on performing magnetic particle testing on a component that has a layer of paint. Thanks, and have a great day.
Okay, so yan po. So sa tingin natin, di ba, parang kadali lang siya maglagay. Tsaka po yung magtanggal po ng excess po na magnetic particles. But yun kasi ay ano na siya, bihasa na siya sa ganon. Kaya alam na niya kung paano. Pero kapag baguhan po, katulad natin, so hindi natin alam if tama ba yung pagkakalagay natin and low pressure din sa ating po materials. And hindi din natin alam if paano natin siya i-interpret. So nakita niyo po yung part na to. So dito po medyo malaki po yung discontinuities niya. So hindi natin alam kung yan ba acceptable or hindi. So tanging ang mga inspector lang po yung nakakaalam if pwede po siyang gamitin or pwede siyang i-proceed or hindi po. Okay? And then ang next naman natin is using naman po yung atin pong
I wanna give him something special.
I'm home!
So ito naman po is using the wet fluorescence magnetic particles po.
Non-destructive testing, magnetic particle inspection. The magnetic particle examination is an excellent method to investigate near-surface defects in ferromagnetic materials. This video shows the basic principle and the practical procedure. The material tester gets the machine ready for use and inserts the test piece between the two poles of an electromagnet. Then she takes a bottle with a suspension of magnetic particles, turns on the electromagnet with a foot switch and applies the suspension of magnetic particles onto the test piece. Already in daylight, dark lines are visible on the surface. The lines can be seen much better under ultraviolet light, and particularly well at darkening the daylight. The suspension contains pigments that cover the magnetic particles and fluoresce under ultraviolet light. The particles run off in areas free from defects, and they are attracted and clustered near defects. This workpiece shows a whole array of cracks. The basic principle is to magnetize a ferromagnetic workpiece parallel to its surface, as shown in the sectional view. If the workpiece is free from defects, the magnetic field lines run within the workpiece and parallel to its surface. In places of magnetic inhomogeneity, for instance near cracks, the magnetic field lines will locally leave the surface and a leakage field occurs. Now, if a suspension of ferromagnetic particles is applied onto the test piece surface, the magnetic particles will run off at defect-free areas. In places of leakage fields, the magnetic particles are attracted and clustered together, thus indicating the place of the defect. The method works best using a pigment which covers the magnetic particles and shows fluorescence under ultraviolet light. Even cracks can be detected that are not open to the surface but just below it, as long as they are not too far below the surface. But one precondition must always be fulfilled. The magnetic field lines must be perpendicular, or at least at a certain angle to the defect. Otherwise there will be no leakage field and the defects remain undetected. Our test sample has been magnetized in horizontal direction. The magnetic field lines run horizontally. This is the reason why cracks in vertical direction are visible particularly well. To make sure to detect all near-surface cracks, one has to magnetize the sample once more and best perpendicularly to the first time. To do this, the material tester switches the machine over to the current flow method. A high electric current flows through the sample, generating a circular magnetic field. Now the cracks in horizontal direction can be seen very well. The tested sample is a hardened sliding guide. The cracks have been formed during the hardening process and the subsequent grinding operation. Still another test piece has to face the magnetic particle inspection, a section of a large gear wheel. The same procedure again. Placing the gear wheel between the magnetic pole pieces, magnetizing and applying magnetic particle suspension. Already in daylight, there are indications of cracks, and again, they are best visible under ultraviolet light while darkening the daylight. The visible cracks are so-called fatigue cracks. They have been generated during the operation of the gear drive due to a mismatch of the gear wheels.
So, kita nyo po, kita nyo dito na very visible po yung kung saan po merong discontinuities dun sa ating material. So, like this po, katulad dito, at saka itong nasa gitna, kitang-kita po na siya ay meron pong defect. Ano po? Okay. So, lipat na po ulit tayo dun sa atin pong presentations. So, ang next natin na i-discuss po is about po sa ultrasonic testing. Okay. Ultrasonic testing naman po. So, para lang din po siya nag-ultrasound kapag sa buntis. Yan. So, yung wala pa namang siguro wala pa naman sa inyo nakakaranas ng gano'n. Yan. So, yan. Kapag nakikita niyo po kung paano po ino-ultrasound. So, halos ganun din po. Dito lang po ay sound waves. So, ang ginagamit natin. So, this one po is, halimbawa, ito, initial, di ba? Initial pulse po natin. Tapos, meron tayong, kita natin, dito pa lang po sa graph. So, nag-bounce back agad siya. Bumalik agad siya. So, dapat ito yung kanya dapat na, ano po, na part. Hanggang dapat dun muna magta-travel yung sound, saka pa siya babalik. Pero kapag may flaws po siya, so bumabalik po siya agad. Kaya nakikita natin kung saan part po may defect yung ating material. Ano po? Yan. So ito pong technique na to is ginagamit to determine po the internal at saka yung surface defects ng ating material. So using po yung ating sound conducting material. Yan. So, gumagamit po dito ng very short ultrasonic pulse wave. Yan, with center frequencies, so ranging daw po from 0.1 to 15 megahertz and occasionally up to 50 megahertz po. Yan, are launched into the materials to detect the material. Yan. So, ang example po na pwede natin ma-determine using po the ultrasonic testing is pwede po natin ma-determine or ma-measure po yung thickness ng ating material. So, pwede natin ma-determine yan mula dito hanggang dito po. Yan. Tapos, pwede din po niyang ma-check po yung thickness po ng buong object. O kaya po yung mismong, yung flaws po natin. And then also, yung ating pong mga pipework corrosion, so pwede din natin ma-monitor using po the ultrasonic testing. So, kalimitan ito po yung ginagamit na test, lalo po yung pag-determine sa mga pipelines. Kasi, makikita natin kung gaano na kalaki yung nabawas or gaano na, or pwede kasi dito sa ultrasonic testing, makita natin kung saan po yung nakaposition po yung flaws niya. So, madidetermine natin sa ang depth po nangyari yung pong nagkaroon siya ng defect. Kasi dito po madidetermine natin eh. So pwedeng yung ating pong pulse wave natin, so pwede po siya na ma-convert po into for example po ay into depth ng ating material. So kita niyo po sa part na to. So ito yon. So, dito po yung nakita yung flaws natin. So, na-detect po kung saan po meron siyang flaws. And pwede din daw po natin na, tawag dito, pwede natin na ma-assume po yung shape. Ano po, pwede nating malaman kung ano yung shape po ng ating flaws dun sa loob. Kasi pwede natin siyang i-access. So, any surface po nito. Okay. So, meron tayo ito yung normal na probe. This one naman, ang tawag dito ay angle probe. Yan. So, ito naman yung dinidetermine. So, bali hindi siya direct na pababa. Ganito po yung angle probe na tinatawag. So, angle. So, pa-angle po siya ang kanyang detections po. So, tatama siya dito and then magpo-project po siya dito. Makikita po kung saan nandun po yung defect. Yan, katulad po nito. Okay? So ito po yung sample na equipments po na ginagamit for the ultrasonic. So dito po natin makikita po yung ating sound waves sa display. And then yung atin pong transducer or yung probe natin. So meron po siya na transmitter and meron din po tayo na receiver. And then this one po yung ating cable. So nadidetect niya po kung saan po merong fault dun sa ating material. Yan, kung saan meron pong defect. Yan. And then, yan, ito daw, how does it work? So, bali, meron tayong, sabi dito, in ultrasonic testing, so meron tayong ultrasound transducer. So, connected po siya sa diagnostic machine. And then, is pass over the object being inspected. So, the transducer is typically separated from the test object by a couplant. So, itong ginagamit natin dito, yan, itong probe na to, yan, katulad nitong, yung normal probe natin. So, yun po ay gumagamit po tayo ng couplant, yan. Parang gel, di ba, din sa ultrasound po natin, meron siyang gel, para hindi siya magkalapat po yung atin pong test object, at saka po yung ating mismong probe, yung ating transducer. So, dito po, ang ginagamit na couplant naman po ay oil or pwede din po na water. Pero sa atin, ang ginagamit po ay gel. Yan, sa mga tao. And then, yan. So, bali, meron tayong couplant. Tapos, i-ano natin dun yung transducer. Kasi kapag wala tayong ginamit na couplant, hindi siya magre-read. Walang mababasa. So, kaya kailangan natin lagyan po ng couplant. Kapag yun po ay normal probe. Pero however po, yan. So when the ultrasonic is conducted with an electromagnetic acoustic transducer, so kapag EMAT ang ating ginamit na transducer, so dito naman, hindi na kailangan po ng couplant. So pwede po siya na walang couplant. Lang po, yung normal probe, yun po yung nangangailangan ng couplant. Pero si EMAT, si electromagnetic acoustic transducer, so hindi na niya kailangan ng couplant para makapagbasa, para may mabasa po siya na results. And, so, meron daw po tayong dalawang methods of receiving the ultrasound waveform. So, yun yung tinatawag natin na reflection, at yung isa naman po is attenuation. Yan. So, sa reflections po, yan. So, ito yung normal. Nagre-reflected back to the device. And then the reflected ultrasound comes from an interpiece such as a back wall of the object or from the imperfections within the object. So the diagnostic machine displays these results in the form of a signal with the amplitude representing the intensity of the reflections and the distance representing the arrival time of the reflections. Yan. So yun po yung ating reflections. So kay attenuations naman, so ito naman ay through transmission. So, iba po yung mode na ginagamit kapag attenuations po. So, dito naman, so meron tayong transmitter. So, magsasend daw po siya ng ultrasound through one surface. And then, the separate receiver detects the amount that has reached it on another surface after traveling through the medium. So, parang yung una po natin is yung ating gamit po dun is the normal probe. So, dito naman po is the, angle probe naman po yung ginagamit. Sabi dito, imperfections or other condition in the space between the transmitter and the receiver, reduce the amount of sounds transmitted. So, thus revealing their presence. So, yan po yung nangyayari kapag sa ultrasonic. So, ano ba yung advantage ng paggamit daw po ng ultrasonic? So, sabi dito, high penetrating power. So, pwede po niya ma-detect mula sa surface hanggang dun sa surface po na nasa baba. Hanggang dun sa pinaka-bottom natin. Ano po? And then, high sensitivity. Yan. So, talagang kahit po small flaws, so kaya niya pong ma-detect. And then, isa pa pong advantage niya po is pwedeng one surface lang yung gamitin natin. Kasi, madidetect na po natin yung flaws dun sa iba pa. And then, greater accuracy po siya. And then, may capability po yung ating pong ultrasonic tester na estimate po yung size, yung orientation po, and shape daw po ng mga nature of defects. And then this one po is non-hazardous. Ano po? And last po is siya po ay portable. Or pwede po siya sa highly automated operations. Yan, yun po yung mga advantage po ng ultrasonic. But syempre, lagi po yung may disadvantages din po. Yan. So dito naman, kailangan po ay ano po talaga, ang experienced technicians talaga yung kailangan mag-perform. Kasi yung mga echo yung sound waves natin. So ang pwede lang mag-interpret nun, yan, is yung ating mga inspector. So kaya kailangan po mag-perform dito, is certified talaga na nakapag-conduct po ng training. Okay? So, meron kasing halimbawa, may mga anomalies po, may mga ingay, halimbawa, may mga kasamang ingay, yan. So, minsan nakaka-affect po yun dun sa testing na nangyayari. Okay? So, sabi dito, kung yun ba ay tolerable or hindi, yan. So, kaya talagang kailangan ay experienced technician kasi meron tayong mga interpretations po na sila lang po yung nakakaalam kung paano siya babasahin based dun sa ating mga frequencies, sa ating mga sound waves po. Yan. And then, yan. Extensive technical knowledge is required po for the development of inspections procedure. So, halos parehas lang po siya ng number 1. And then, sabi dito, parts that are rough, yan, irregular in shape, very small or thin, at not homogeneous or difficult to inspect. Yan. Kasi kapag may impurities po, nadidetect niya po. So kapag hindi homogeneous po yung ating material, di ano po, mahirap po siya na i-inspect. Yan. Kapag irregular shape, kasi nga naka-base lang po siya dun sa travel ng sounds. So kapag irregular shape po siya, so hindi natin makikita yung kung ano po yung magiging basis natin para masabi po natin na meron po siyang defect. So, kailangan ay hindi po dapat irregular shape yung ating itetest. And dapat siya smooth. And, mas maganda pong gamitin natin dito is yung mga thick. Ano po, thick specimen. And then, ang atin daw pong surface must be prepared. Yan, by cleaning or removing daw po yung mga loose scale, paint, etc. And then, dito po gagamit tayo ng couplant. Yan. So, kapag po siya ay yung normal. Pero kapag EMAT po, no need na natin gamitin ang couplant po. And then, yung kahuli-hulihan po, so dapat yung material po natin is water resistance. Kasi nga po, gagamit po tayo ng couplant. So, baka ma-damage natin yung ating material kapag hindi po siya water resistance. Kasi pwede po siyang, yan, ano ba, mabasa or ma-damage yung part po ng ating material. Pwede po siyang magkaroon ng corrosions, yan. And then, ito po yung kanyang, yan, video po ng non-destructive testing. So, titingnan natin kung nandito na siya. So, nung dati, nung kami nakakapag-planter pa, yan, MIRDC. So, actually namin na nakikita kung paano po i-perform itong mga non-destructive testing na to. Yan. So, ang hindi lang po namin nakikita yung sa radiographic testing kasi bawal. Yan. Kasi may radiations po. Pero yung magnetic particle inspections, yung ating pong dipenetrant, at saka po yung ating pong ultrasonic. So, pinapakita po sa amin yan na actual. Kaya masarap po na nagpa-planter. Kaya lang po ay, yun, Hindi tayo makapag-plant tour kasi ang dami pong requirements. Kasi dati wala pang ganun kadami pong requirements. Kaya okay lang po na mag-plant tour. And kailangan po ay na-incorporate po natin sa syllabus kung saang part po siya papasok. Yan. Kaya wala akong, hindi po, medyo mahihirapan po tayo in terms po ng kung magpa-plant tour po tayo. Okay. So, ito po yung video natin for the ultrasonic. Ang hirap kasi kapag wala siyang video, kung halimbawa sabi ko lang po, hindi nyo makikita kung paano talaga siya ginagawa. Kaya nagpo-provide po talaga ako ng video. And para makikita nyo po, wait lang. So, mali na naman. Wait. So, ito yung ating pong video for the ultrasonic.
Non-destructive testing. Ultrasonic examination. The basic principle of ultrasonic testing of materials is the propagation and reflection of sound waves. As an example, a cylindrical workpiece is shown in the animation. The longitudinal section through the cylinder shows the position of the atoms, extremely magnified and simplified as a single crystal. To begin with, a rigid, unyielding stop is attached to the right front end of the cylinder. At the left front end, a disc is installed. It will be used to transmit and receive sound waves. Pushing and pulling briefly at the disc causes a longitudinal sound wave to propagate through the cylinder. When the sound wave reaches the rigid stop at the right side, it is reflected and runs back towards the disc, which now serves as a receiver. A free end is also able to reflect a wave. In this case, however, the tensile side runs ahead in the reflected wave and finally deflects the receiver to the right. The reflected wave is even reflected again and actually travels for several times across the length of the cylinder, but this is not shown in the animation for the sake of simplicity. So, if a sound wave is generated at one end of a workpiece, it will travel through the material with its speed of sound. At the free end of the workpiece, the sound wave is reflected and it returns to the transmitter, which then acts as a receiver. For ultrasonic testing of a workpiece, not a large transmitter is used in most cases, but a rather compact one, which generates a short ultrasonic pulse. At a place free from defects, the ultrasonic pulse travels to the right front end, also termed back wall. The pulse is reflected and recorded again as an echo. When the transmitter is moved a little downwards, the cavity reflects a part of the wave. That part arrives earlier at the transmitter than the rest of the sound wave. Even further downwards, the cavity reflects the complete ultrasonic pulse. For material testing, either the echo of a defect can be utilized, this is the pulse echo mode, or the phenomenon that hardly any sound waves pass through the imperfection. This is called the through transmission mode. In pulse echo mode, a transducer installed in a probe performs both the sending and the receiving of the ultrasonic pulse. On a computer monitor, the intensity is being plotted upwards on the y-axis and the time towards the right on the x-axis. With the probe at a place free from defects, only two signals may be seen on the monitor: the transmission pulse and the echo resulting from the lower surface of the workpiece, termed back wall echo. Moving the probe towards the right leads to an additional echo created by the defect. Even further towards the right, only the defect echo is visible apart from the transmission pulse. In our laboratory, there's a green painted steel cylinder to be found. It contains artificial defects which are invisible from the outside. To track down the defects, the material tester uses the pulse echo method. This is how a typical probe looks like. Under the bright wear plate, a piezoelectric disc is installed. It can transmit and receive ultrasonic pulses. A computer operates the probe via a plug-in card and power electronics. On the monitor, the intensity is plotted upwards and the time is plotted to the right. After placing the probe on top of the cylinder, initially no echo at all may be seen on the monitor. The reason for this is the too small contact area between the probe and the workpiece. Only with the use of a gel, the so-called couplant, the ultrasonic pulses can get into the workpiece and can also go back into the probe. Now the back wall echo turns up on the monitor. The material tester spreads out the gel evenly on the top surface. That way she is able to examine the entire cylinder. Using the velocity of sound in the material, one can plot the calculated depth on the monitor to the right instead of time. A very useful feature. With the help of so-called trigger gates, which may be set on the echoes with a computer mouse, the depth of the defects can easily be read off at the lower left-hand corner of the monitor. The cylinder back wall lies in a depth of about 200 millimeters below the probe, so the cylinder has a height of 200 millimeters. And here we go. The material tester scans the upper front end of the cylinder with a probe and observes the monitor. A defect echo appears on the monitor. This defect is located in a depth of 130 millimeters below the surface. Another echo indicates a defect in a depth of 87 millimeters. The second smaller echo at 174 millimeters is caused by double reflection on the same imperfection. And these are the defects. A drill hole and a saw cut. Filled up near the surface and painted, they are not visible from the outside. The drill hole in a depth of 130 millimeters. The saw cut 87 millimeters below the surface.
Unang piga talaga. Tanawa dyan, naglatik na. Coco Mama Fresh Gata.
Saglit lang po ha at nagkaroon ng
Trams are popular means of transport in Karlsruhe in southern Germany. The tram cars are not only cleaned regularly, but also tested thoroughly in regular intervals by the transport company. Among many other maintenance points, the ultrasonic examination of the wheel axles plays an important role. A tram enters the maintenance hall for inspection. Some of the tram cars have already been lifted up. That way the bogies can easily be detached, pushed forward and examined carefully. This is one of the bogies jacked up to comfortable working height and prepared for ultrasonic inspection. Special attention is given to the wheel axle, among experts known as wheel set axle. It has been designed as a hollow axle. This saves weight and facilitates the ultrasonic examination. The material tester applies a suitable oil as a couplant into the bore of the axle. Now he takes a special probe designed exactly for this purpose, inserts it carefully into the bore with a mount, and evenly spreads out the couplant by turning and pushing. He has accurately marked the most important examination points at the mount. In an experienced manner, he positions the probe at the appropriate places within the wheel set axle and watches the monitor closely. The probe has specially been designed for this application. It transmits the ultrasonic pulses at an angle of 45 degrees. At a place without defects, no defect echo returns. But when the pulse encounters a crack which has grown in from the outside, double reflection occurs and a typical defect echo is recorded. It is important to note that also the shape of the wheel set axle may lead to an echo, for example at shoulders. These are so-called contour echoes. In this particular case, only contour echoes are recorded. No abnormality has been detected. The wheel set axle is perfect and can be used again to transport many passengers until the next examination becomes due.
Okay, so yan, nakita nyo po yung
the tensile test. First,
okay, so yan, nakita nyo po kung paano po ginagawa yung ultrasonic testing. So, napakarami po niyang applications. Yan, katulad ng sa mga tren, sa mga pipeline. So, very useful po ang ultrasonic testing. And siya po ay portable po. Same with magnetic particle inspections. Pwede din po siya na portable. Yan. Okay. So, ang sunod naman natin is we have po yung dye penetrant testing. So, mostly po ay by inspection lang. And gagamit lang po tayo dito ng consumable. Okay. So, ito po is very, it is widely used, yung ating dye penetrant testing. And siya po ay isa sa low-cost inspections method. Ayun nga lang po, ang kaya niya lang pong i-detect is yung mga surface defect. Katulad po nito. Yan. So, kitang-kita natin kung saan po may defect yung ating material. Ano po? So, ginagamit po siya sa mga all non-porous materials, yung ating pong mga metals, plastic, and ceramics. So, pwede po siyang gamitin sa non-ferrous materials. Pwede din po siya sa ferrous materials. So, halos hindi po sila nagkakalayo ni magnetic particles. So, si magnetic particles nga lang po ay gagamit tayo ng magnet. So, ito naman, penetrant naman po yung gagamitin natin. Pero this time, so pwede po siyang gamitin sa mas marami pong material. So, hindi siya limited po sa ferrous material. So, pwede siya sa ferrous and non-ferrous materials po. Yan. So, ginagamit din po siya to detect yung ating pong mga defect po during yung after po ng casting, forging, at saka yung ating mga welding po. So, kaya nga lang po si dye penetrant, surface lang talaga yung kaya niya. Kasi si magnetic particles, pati yung mga near subsurface, kaya niyang i-detect. So, dito talaga, surface defect lang po. But pwede din niya pong ma-determine po yung ating mga fatigue cracks po, at saka yung mga leak in new products. Yan. And then, yung mga penetrant na ginagamit ngayon is mas na siya, maganda na po yung quality. Unlike po dati na ang ginagamit po ay mga kerosene pa lang. Kerosene pa lang yung ginagamit dati. So ngayon po, meron na talagang formulated po na product na ginagamit po para sa pag-i-inspect po using po the dye penetrant. Yan. Okay? So meron tayong dalawang types po ng penetrant materials. So, ang una po is the fluorescent penetrant. So, ito naman, gagamit po tayo dito ng, darkened area. Darkened room area po. So, gagamit tayo dito ng ultraviolet radiations. Tapos, yung isa naman po ay visible penetrant. So, si visible penetrant naman, ang gamit natin dito is a red dye. So, red dye, tapos siya is, meron siyang high contrast against white developer. So, si fluorescent po is very visible siya. Siya po ay more sensitive kaysa visible penetrant. Kasi gagamit tayo dito ng fluorescent lamp. Okay? Fluorescent light pala, sorry po. So, samantalang si visible po, penetrant, wala tayong gagamitin na darkened room. So, mas kitang-kita po yung yung pong defect natin kapag may ginamit po tayo na fluorescent lamp. Pero dito naman, yung visible penetrant, so makikita din po natin yung kanya pong defect. Yan. So, si visible penetrant, so hindi na siya kailangan po ng darkened area. Hindi na din natin kailangan ng ultraviolet light. So, yun lang po. At room lighting lang po. And then, siya po ay less vulnerable po din sa mga contaminations daw po. Yan, such as yung mga cleaning fluid. Yan. So, kung saan daw po significantly reduce the strength of a fluorescent indications. Yes po.
Ma'am, question po. Di ba po non-destructive po ang dye penetrating po, ma'am?
Alin po? Dye penetrant?
Hindi po ba siya destructive po since nag-iiba po yung kulay or madali lang po alisin yung kulay po ng dye?
I-clean siya after. Pagkatapos na ano po, na, di ba, siya ay magkukulay red lang dun sa part ng may defect. Tapos, meron tayong i-apply po na developer para mas makita natin na ayos. After that po, lilinisin ulit natin siya. So, matatanggal na po yung ating pong dye na nilagay. Okay, so ito naman po yung liquid form, kaya madali po siya matatanggal. Okay po?
Yes po.
Okay, so let's continue po. Yan. Mamaya, makikita niya po yung kanyang, yung video niya. And then, ang sunod naman po, ito daw po yung procedure kung paano po ginagawa ang dye penetrant. So, una muna po, chemically clean daw po natin siya. So, pwede daw natin gamitin dyan is yung vapor phase, yan. So, to remove daw po yung ating foreign materials, yan, grease, dirt, etc. Yan. So, basta dun sa ating surface and within the cracks. Yan. And then, after po nating ma-clean, sunod natin gagawin is maglalagay po tayo ng penetrant. Sabi dito, which is a very fine thin oil, usually dye bright red or ultraviolet fluorescent. So, depende po kung ano yung penetrant na gagamitin po natin. And then after that po, i-apply natin. So, i-allow po natin siya for approximately, hayaan lang natin siya for approximately 15 minutes. And then after po nun, tatanggalin daw po natin. Sabi, the surplus penetrant on the surface is then removed completely and the thin coating of the powdered chalk is applied. So, tatanggalin po natin yung penetrant. Kasi yung mga penetrant po na nandun na sa may mga cracks. So, pumasok na siya. Parang nandun na siya. So, yung nasa surface na lang natin is yung mga excess penetrant. So, tatanggalin natin yung excess penetrant. And then after nun, maglalagay daw po tayo ng developer. Developer natin is powdered chalk po. And pwede siyang powdered chalk, pero may ginagamit pa rin po na other developer. So after po ihahayaan ulit natin siya ng certain time po. And then after nun, makikita na po natin. So, during po nung itay lang natin na maging very visible po yung atin pong part kung saan po meron siyang crack. Yan. Sabi, the chalk draws a dye out of the crack rather like blotting paper. Yan. So, to form a visual magnified in with indication and good contrast to the background. So, makikita natin, magiging very visible na po yung ating, ating pong part na meron po siyang discontinuities. And ganito po yung nangyayari. So, paglagay natin ng penetrant, so papasok siya dun sa part na merong discontinuities. And then, i-remove po natin yung excess penetrant, yung surface surplus penetrant po, tatanggalin natin siya. And then, mag-a-apply tayo ng developer. Tapos, ganito yung magiging itsura niya. And then, i-clean na po natin siya after that. Yeah. So, and then, ito po yung mga advantages niya. So, simplicity of operation. So, madali lang siyang gawin. Ano po? Pero yung interpretations po, kung gaano kadami yung mga crack or kung acceptable yung crack. So, hindi natin yung kayang gawin. Ano po? So, nakadepende po din sa babasa and kung siya acceptable or hindi. And then, sabi, ito po yung best method na pwede natin gamitin to determine po yung surface breaking cracks sa ating mga non-ferrous metal. Kasi nga po yung mga ferrous metal natin, pwede po siya sa magnetic particle. So, si non-ferrous, so dito natin siya pwedeng gamitin. Pero pwede din po si liquid penetrant sa ferrous po. Yan, maalin naman. And then, suitable for automatic testing. And sabi dito, with reservations daw po concerning viewing. So, pwede natin siyang ma-view. And quantitative daw po siya. Okay. And ang disadvantage niya, so ang main disadvantage po niya is surface breaking defects lang po yung kaya niyang makita, ma-detect. And pwede din po siya mag-decrease yung kanyang sensitivity. So mas mababa lang kasi yung kaya niyang i-detect po. And gumagamit po siya ng considerable amount of consumable. Yan. So may mga consumable tayong gagamitin katulad po ng panglinis, tapos yung atin pong penetrant at saka po yung ating developer. Yan. So, tapos meron tayo dito na video. Yan, video po for ayaw na. Yan, ayaw na po. Ayaw na gumana. Yan. Bakit ba ayaw na gumana? Wait long. Dito na lang natin, i-search na lang po natin sa YouTube. Nasa YouTube naman po siya. And so yung video po, ang video na makikita niyo po ay para lang po siya para lang daw po sa mayaman. Para lang po yun sa using po the visible penetrant. Wala akong makita sa meron naman, kaya lang ay hindi po ganun kaganda po yung video sa liquid penetrant testing po. Saglit lang, ayaw. Pwede daw makapag-type. Wait lang po, ayaw. Hala, ano nangyayari na naman sa aking ayaw. Wait lang ha. Okay. Sorry na po. Ayaw nang gumana ng aking laptop. Kanina pa to, ayaw din po mag-open yung camera. Wala pong pampalit. Patay tayo dyan. Sige po, panoodin niyo po ito. Yan. So, i-demonstrate po sa inyo kung paano po ginagawa ang liquid penetrant testing. Yes. Tapos meron pa din dito isang video. Ito pala yung isang video po. Kaya lang po ay tingnan natin. Ari muna po. Sige, ito muna pala.
Hello, my name is Robert Mertz. I'm an AS&T.
Yan. So, ang gagamitin din po nila is yung visible penetrant. Tingnan natin kung may part po ng yan, ganun din. Visible penetrant lang din po yung gagamitin. Sige po. Panoodin niyo muna po ito.
NDT Level 3. I work with AltaVista Solutions, and today I will be performing a demonstration on how to perform liquid penetrant testing using solvent removable type. Okay, the reason why we want to do a demonstration on
wait lang. So, ayaw ko nito. Masyadong matagal siya. So, dito na lang tayo kay ate girl. Wait lang. Saglit lang po. Ayaw mag-play. Ayaw mapal-time.
Dye penetrant examination is an important method of non-destructive testing of materials. This is the basic principle. Often the surface of a work...
So, ito na lang po. Final na.
Dye penetrant examination is an important method of non-destructive testing of materials. This is the basic principle. Often the surface of a workpiece is covered with rust or paint, which masks the material defects, as shown in the sectional view. Therefore, the first step is always the pre-cleaning of the test piece surface. This must be done very thoroughly so that any defects present, here it is a crack, are open to the surface. In the second step, the penetrant is applied to the test piece, usually red-colored low-viscosity oil. Due to the penetrant's high surface wetting capability, it penetrates into the defects and cracks. After several minutes of dwell time, the third step is to rinse the part's surface cautiously with water. The water removes the penetrant completely from the surface, but leaves it in the crack. Now, the fourth step. After drying the test piece, a developer is applied onto the surface. The developer is a fine-grained white powder suspended in a liquid. It forms an even coating on the surface. After drying, it draws penetrant from the crack out onto the surface. The location of the crack is indicated clearly on the surface. And this is how it is carried out in practice. We wish to inspect two samples, a segment of a worm gear shaft and a broken bicycle crank arm. Both test pieces have already been cleaned. First in line is the worm gear shaft. The material tester applies the penetrant. After a dwell time of about 10 minutes, she removes the excess penetrant from the surface by rinsing the test piece gently with water. She takes care not to rinse for an unnecessary long time, because the penetrant is supposed to stay in the defects. Now, she dries the surface of the sample with a cloth to absorb the excess water. As the final step, she applies the developer and lets it dry. That's it. Several cracks are indicated on the surface in deep red color. Next, the broken bicycle crank arm has to undergo the dye penetration test. Spraying with penetrant, allowing to soak, rinsing, drying, and applying developer. Clearly, additional cracks are indicated on the fragments. Finally, the pros and cons at a glance. Advantages of this test method are: almost all materials can be tested, and the method is simple and low cost for a single inspection. Disadvantages are: only suitable for surface defects. No information about the depth of flaws can be gained, and rough surfaces are difficult to test.
Okay. Hindi pala pinakita yung part ng sa part po ng cleaning.
No one's immune to hair fall. My hair gets its...
Pero ang ginagawa lang din po doon is ano po, kini-clean lang din po. Diba? Katulad nung kanina. So hindi kailangan, hindi po pwede na matagal natin siya na i-wash kasi may tendency po na pati yung ating pong ano po, yung red dye is matanggal din siya. So liquid lang po din siya kaya mabilis lang po yung matatanggal. Ano po? Okay. And then wait lang. Nandun na tayo sa last part. Ayan. So ang last natin is the radiographic testing. So patapos na din pala. Pinabot na tayo ng time. Yan. So wala pang masyadong magandang video po dun sa radiographic. Parang ang mapapakita ko lang po sa inyo paano po yung mga pagsiset up po. Kung paano pina-perform yung radiographic testing. Yan. So ito na po yung last part. Yan. Ito naman po ay parang x-ray. Ano po? So ang tinetest naman niya is the hidden flaws. Yung sa internal naman po, internal defects. Yan. So di ba, ano po natin? Si magnetic particle inspections, so siya po ay surface and near subsurface. The ultrasonic po, pwede siya na surface at saka internal defects. Si dye penetrant po ay surface defect lang po. Si radiographic naman, siya po ay internal defects lang po yung kaya niyang ma-detect. Ano po? So, pwede po siya sa ferrous at non-ferrous at sa mga other materials po. Pwede natin ma-detect po. Yun nga lang po ay internal defects lang yung pwede natin gawin. And this type of test po is gumagamit siya ng electromagnetic radiations. Yan, so X-ray. So medyo delikado po itong type of test na to kasi pwede siyang maka-harm sa health ng tao. Ano kasi may radiations po na involved po dito sa radiographic. Ano po? Ito ay para lang din talaga na X-ray. So the greater daw po yung thickness, so the greater daw po the absorptions ng ating ano po, yung makikita natin dun sa film. Okay? So ganito po ang nangyayari sa radiographic. So meron tayong ginagamit po na ito po, yung electromagnetic. Ito yung source ng electromagnetic radiation. So meron tayong radioactive. And this po yung ating basic principle kung paano ginagawa ang radiographic testing. So ito po yung source of radiation natin, katulad ng pinakita ko po sa inyo kanina. And then ito po yung ating specimen. And ito pong nasa ilalim na to, ito po yung ating film. Yan. So doon natin makikita sa film kung saan po may defect yung ating material. But as you can see po, yung pinaka-taas lang po, yung makikita natin sa picture. Pero yung defect na ganito, yung lalim niya, kung gaano siya kalaki, so hindi natin masyadong makikita using po the X-ray. Ano po, using po the radiographic testing. So makikita lang natin sa part na yun, meron siyang defect. Pero yung depth or kaya kung saang part ng material, nandun yung defect, hindi natin siya makikita using the radiographic testing. So kung gusto natin makita, so pwede natin gamitin po is the ultrasonic. So nandun lang siya sa part na yun, pero hindi natin kung saang part, katulad nito, nandito pala siya. So hindi natin alam kung dito ba siya, or dito. Kung ang pagbabatayan lang po natin is yung nasa film. Okay? So, ganyan po yung setup. Ano po? Common setup po ng pag-radiographic testing po natin. So, this is the advantages po ng ating radiographic. So, yung information natin is presented pictorially. So, nakikita natin siya sa film. And then, magiging permanent record na siya. So, pwede natin siyang ma-view anytime. Unlike po yung mga nauna natin, so hindi natin siya masyadong mag-view. So, at the same time lang natin siya makikita. Katulad ng magnetic particle inspection at saka po yung ating pong magnetic particle inspections. So, si ultrasonic naman ay kung recorded po yung ating pulse waves. Yan, yung sounds natin. And then, siya po is useful for thin sections. Si ultrasonic kasi, hindi po maganda yung results niya kapag thin sections. So ito, pwede natin gamitin kapag thin sections. And then, yung sensitivity niya, so makikita natin siya sa film. And sabi nga, suitable siya sa any material. Okay? Ang disadvantage niya, sabi dito, inability to cope with thick section. So, medyo mahirap na po kapag thick sections po siya. Lalo na kapag marami pong defect, tapos sunod-sunod po yun. So, yung nasa unahan lang po yung talagang makikita natin na defect. And then, pinaka-disadvantage niya po is the possible health hazard. And, yung pong positioning po ng ating beam, yan, need to direct the beam accurately for two-dimensional defects. And then, need din po natin ng facilities po for viewing and yung processing po ng ating film. And hindi po siya pwede for the automations. And not suitable po siya for surface defect. Pag surface defects po, hindi po siya pwedeng gamitin. Pang internal defects lang talaga. And, yan, ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo, no indications of depth of a defect below the surface. So, hindi natin alam kung saan part meron yung defect. Okay? So, yan po yung mga disadvantage po at advantages. So, meron ako ditong video. So, yung hindi ko siya makita sa YouTube. Kaya dito ko na lang po siya i-play. Ha? So, last na po ito. After this po, yan, tapos na po tayo. Kaya lang ayaw niya mag-play. Wait lang po ha, i-close ko lang. Okay, wait lang ha. Ayaw niya mag-play. Why? Ayaw din niya mag-share. Madamot na yung aking laptop. Oh, restarting your browser if the problem continues. So mag-ano muna ako, lalabas lang ako ha. Tapos okay, yan. So, nagloloko po yung aking power po. Nagloloko po ang laptop ko sa tunay na buhay. Mamaya wala din ako sa picture kasi ayaw niya. Nakikita niyo po ba?
Wala po kami nakikita mo.
Wala?
Wala po.
Ay, mag-present. Nakakainis na. Ayan na. Meron na.
Meron na po.
So, bali, hindi naman masyadong kagandahan ang video. So, hindi naman masyadong kagandahan ang video ko. Pero, dito po, makikita niyo po yung setup kung paano po pina-perform yung radiographic testing. So, para lang talaga siya na x-ray. So, ganun lang. Di ba? So, pag nag-x-ray tayo, sobrang bilis lang. So, ganun din po dito.
Video will show the method of radiographic testing inspection by using gamma ray radiation source. There are a lot of techniques of RT inspection. This short video will show some of these techniques which inspect by using single wall single image technique, panoramic technique, double wall single image technique, double wall double image technique. Equipment and tools are gamma ray source system, radiographic films, cassettes, and intensifying screens. Markers, IQ line, penetrometers, Weld specimen. Magnetic stand. Safety gear. Exposure calculator. First of all, we'll show the inspection, which is using single wall, single image technique. This technique is applicable for both plates and pipes. Primarily intended for pipe diameter of 100 mm and above, where access is permitted. Procedure is: after finished from film loading, start to perform this technique as visual inspection of the specimen, examine the welded specimen visually and note down any surface defects. The appropriate IQI type according to the sample thickness of the same material as that of the specimen. IQI should be placed in a proper manner on specimen I.E source side and wires across the weld. Place the film underneath the plate. Place the lead letters. Set the source at right angle with the film and weld seam using magnetic stand. Set the specimen at a proper distance. Should be more than minimum distance that you can calculate it by the rule. Calculate the exposure time by application. Process the films inside the dark room. The second technique is panoramic. It should be performed for pipe of outside diameter from 12 inch. Procedure is: after finished from film loading, start to perform this technique as visual inspection of the specimen, examine the welded specimen visually and note down any surface defects. The appropriate IQI type according to the sample thickness of the same material as that of the specimen. IQI should be placed in a proper manner on specimen I.E source side and wires across the weld. Place the lead letters. Wrap the films around a welded pipe. Set the source at the center of the pipe using the magnetic stand. Calculate the exposure time by application. Process the films inside the dark room. Their technique is double wall single image. Should be used to radiographic pipes of 3.5 inch diameter and above when internal access is not permitted. The procedure is: after finished from film loading, start to perform this technique as visual inspection of the specimen, examine the welded specimen visually and note down any surface defects. Use the appropriate IQI type according to the sample thickness of the same material as that of the specimen. IQI should be placed in a proper manner on specimen I.E source side and wires across the weld. Place letter F, which is mean film side. Because of the other technique is source side, wrap the films around the welded pipe. Place the source at an angle of 10 degrees far of the cap of the weld as you see. To take the film from inside. Calculate the exposure time by application. Process the films inside the dark room. The fourth technique is double wall double image. It should be used for pipe has equal or less than 3.5 inch of diameter. A technique can be used in which the radiation passes through two walls. Procedure is: after finished from film loading, start to perform this technique as visual inspection of the specimen, examine the welded specimen visually and note down any surface defects. The appropriate IQI type according to the sample thickness of the same material as that of the specimen. IQI should be placed in a proper manner on specimen I.E source side and wires across the weld. Place the lead letters. Calculate the required geometrical unsharpness factors for both superimposed and elliptical techniques. Wrap the films around a welded pipe. Set the source at right angle with the film and weld seam using the magnetic stand and be careful to place the specimen at a proper distance. Calculate the exposure time by application.
Hello po. Hello, nakaririnig na ako ng ayos? Hello?
Yes po.
Okay. So, bali, yan. So, yung napakita ko lang po sa inyo kung paano sila-set up po kasi yun lang ang kayang maipakita talaga. So, kita nyo po kung gaano kahirap i-set up. Kasi, halimbawa, iba-iba po yung ating shape ng ating pong specimen. So, depende doon kung paano po natin i-x-ray po, i-radiographic testing yung ating mga material. Ano po, kita niyo po yung kulay itim, nakabalot siya dun sa part ng i-inspect. Tapos, nakaset up po kung saan nakatutok yung ating pong source ng radiations. Ano po? Yeah. So, stop presenting ko na po ha. So hanggang dun lang po yung ating discussions about sa non-destructive testing. So next meeting po, ang ipe-present naman po natin or i-discuss naman po natin is about po sa corrosion. So pagkatapos nun, mag-start na po tayo ng presentation. Kailangan week 15 tapos na natin yung presentation. Meron na lang tayong 13. Tapos ay sa 14 ay experiment, and then 15, 16 po ay meron pa po akong i-discuss. 17 po ay exam na. So kulang na po yung ating oras. Yan. Kaya po ang presentation po is 1 hour lang po ang pinaka maximum. Para matapos natin lahat. Okay po? Kasi bukod sa inyo, mag-discuss po ako ng mga kada material po. So, hindi natin matatapos kapag po yung mga kulang lang po. Yan, ang i-discuss ko. Yan. So, makiki-open ako ng camera for the attendance kasi overtime na. So, yan. So, hindi pa ako makakapag-open kasi po, yan. Sira po yung laptop ko. Hindi ko alam kung anong nangyari. Ayaw niya mag-open. Yan. Ito mo, namamatay. Wala talaga. Ayaw talaga. Sino bang pwedeng mag-screenshot po? Yung iba nasa school. Loko-loko wala ko sa school. Marky, screenshot po.
Kahit ako na lang po, ma'am, yung mag-screenshot.
Sige po.
So,
yan.
1, 2...
Sige po. Pasasya na, hindi ako makapag-open ka. Sige, Ineng. Sorry.
Okay na po, ma'am.
Okay na. Sige po. Salamat po. So, thank you po sa pag-attend sa ating class. So, ingat po kayong lahat.
Thank you po.
Thank you po, ma'am.
Thank you. Salamat po.
Thank you po.